And here we're again guys, diving into one of Kubo's most mysterious and provoking answers. The one related to Tosin's Bankai. The Bankai seems to hold much more than just a visual symbolism. Some of its hidden meanings might only be truly understood in the future. In this video guys, we're going to look at the question asked by one of the fans and Kubo's cryptic answer as usual and try to analyze it from every possible angle. But before that guys, let me talk about something very important, the nature of Kubo's answers themselves. As you know, Kubo often interacts with his fans through his official website called Club Outside. He launched it back in January 2021 and since then there have been over, I think, 800 answers posted by him. Now, here is the strange part. Most of these answers aren't serious or deep, but every once in a while, Kubo drops something huge. Some answers actually revealed important story details, like the true identity of Yachiro, what really happened to Ichigo's swords, and even hidden meanings behind all chapters, such as his explanation that Ichibi's ink was what covered the name of Zangetsu. However, there are also questions Kubo completely avoids or answers in a mysterious way, saying things like, I can't answer that here, or maybe I'll draw that one day. For example, when someone asked him about a technique used by Byakuya before fighting Ichigo, Kubo simply said, I can't answer that here. And that was in 2021. Now it's been 4 years since then, almost 5. So the real question is, if Kubo doesn't plan to answer these mysteries on his website, then where will he reveal them? And when? Could it be that he's secretly working on something big behind the scenes, a new project, a side story, or maybe something connected to the world of Hell? Because things get even more interesting when we realize Kubo gave the exact same answer when asked about Tosin's Bankai, and the question was as follows. Inside Tosin's Bankai Dome, we can see the first characters of the 9 Stages of Death. Is there a reason for that? So Kubo said, I can't answer that here. So as you can see, Kubo can't explain why the 9 stages of death are shown inside Tosin's Bankai. But why not? What's stopping him? Could it really be because it's connected to Hell, as the title of this video suggests? And we have a theory about that guys. And since Kubo's answer ties directly to Tosin's Bankai, I decided it's time we dive deeper to find out why this Bankai in particular is surrounded by so much mystery. You might remember guys, in a previous video of mine where I analyzed the Tosen vs Zaraki fight, I mentioned the concept of the 9 stages of death, because that fight alone contained many clues that might link to Hell, the name of Tosen's Bankai, the nature of its power, and the symbols that appeared inside it. All of that guys we will discover in this video. So for those who don't know what fan means by the 9 stages of decay, it comes from a Buddhist concept known as kusuzu. In Buddhism, these stages aren't just a physical description of how the body decays after death. They are a deep spiritual and philosophical reflection on the impermanence of the body and the liberation of the soul from material attachment. And so the stages begin with death, when the body loses life, and ended by the ashes and dust stage, when everything turns to dust, marking the total dissolution. And these 9 stages weren't shown randomly in Tosin's Bankai. They were deliberately used as symbolic representations within his spiritual domain. When Tosen first activated his Bankai, we could see several kanji symbols appear on the Dark Dome, each one referring to a specific stage of decay from the kusuzu. And one of these symbols is kotsu, which means bone, and this matches the 7th stage of kusuzu, the stage where bones appear after all flesh and tissue are gone. Another symbol is sun, representing the 9th and the final stage, meaning scattering and disintegration. It's the ultimate end of the body, the moment everything turns to dust. The remaining kanji symbols on the dome seem to represent the other stages, making Tosen's Bankai a spiritual reflection of the entire process of death and decay. It's not just an attack that removes the senses, it's the embodiment of death itself. Inside his Bankai, Tosen doesn't simply blind or silence his enemy, he forces them into a symbolic form of gradual death, losing each sense, one after another, until they lose even their awareness of self. It's a kind of psychological and spiritual decomposition. On the other hand guys, there are several other clues that clearly, or at least symbolically, connects Tosin's Bankai to the world of Hell in one way or another. The first of these hints lies in the number 9, which appears repeatedly around Tosen and his power. He was the captain of the 9th division. His Bankai forms 9 overlapping circles, and the 9 stages of death or decay from kusuzu perfectly match that number. But there is something even deeper here. The number 9 in Japanese is pronounced Q, which sound exactly like another kanji, meaning suffering or pain. It is as if the number itself carries the essence of hell within it. All of this create a strange and fascinating connection between Tosin's Bankai and the nature of hell as described in Japanese and Buddhist mythology, where pain and purification unfold through multiple stages of torment. Even the name of Tosin's Bankai includes the word Enma, the name of the king of hell, the great judge who decides the fate of souls in the underworld. And if you look closely at the form of his Bankai, guys, the black doom, the loss of senses, the absolute darkness, you realize it's more than just a battle technique. It's a symbolic representation of hell itself, a closed realm where the opponent loses every connection to the outside world, as if their soul were being judged in Enma's court. And in my previous video, guys, about Tosen vs Zaraki, I mentioned this very idea, that when Tosen activates his Bankai, he becomes Enma, the judge and the punisher within his own dark world, where the guilty see no light. But now, after Kubo's total refusal to explain the presence of the 9 stages of death inside Tosen's Bankai, I'm more convinced than ever that these symbols are not coincidences. The real reason for his silence might be that those 9 stages are directly linked to the true Hell of Bleach, the one we've only seen glimpses of, which might actually be based on the same Kuzuzo concept. And of course, guys, we shouldn't confuse this with what we saw in the 4th movie, Hellverse, since Kubo himself confirmed that the film doesn't represent his real vision of hell, nor is it connected to his official one-shot about it. That's why it's possible that the hell in Bleach isn't a single closed place, but rather a system made up of 9 stages or layers, each representing a different level of pain and spiritual punishment. And perhaps, guys, the strongest hint supporting this theory is Zero Apro's fate after his defeat in the Arankara arc. If you saw him, guys, again in the new one-shot, his body didn't change like others. Instead, it slowly changed, as if his soul was going through painful stages of decay or purification. One of his arms turned into bone and half of his body began to melt away. So maybe Tosen's Bankai is a small reflection of hell within the Bleach universe, but in a different way, representing the 9 stages of death. That's why maybe Kubo chose not to reveal this yet, simply because he's planning to expand on the idea in the future. Perhaps through a new side manga or a direct continuation, exploring the world of hell. And then, guys, it seems that the number 9 wasn't a random choice, the word Enma wasn't accidental, and Kubo's silence wasn't meaningless. They're all pieces of a larger puzzle, the puzzle of Hell and Bleach. I know that a lot of you don't want to talk about the Hell and the idea of Hell arc since Kubo doesn't say anything official about it, but we have hints, and we should talk about them. And then, guys, what do you think about Kubo's answer, what we have said in this video? Tell me your opinions in the comments, and see you in my next video.